Blog Talk Radio.
Coming to you live from Atlanta, Georgia. Merging the mainstream thesis and the enlightened antithesis. This is the synthesis. And here is your host, spiritual alchemist, Felicia S.C. Gooden.
Good evening and most blessed greetings, everyone. This is spiritual alchemist Felicia S.C. Gooden coming to you live from Atlanta, Georgia, and this is the synthesis. I just want to kind of start off by saying that this is a fascinating world. Absolutely fascinating. I spend a lot of time on social media and the internet in general, news sites and so on and so forth, and honestly, I'd have to say that the commentary of the peanut gallery is far more interesting than the articles sometimes. Oftentimes I'll log on to Facebook and see an interesting headline and go straight to the comments. I don't even read a lot of articles. And it's amazing how you can use your intuition to really get the main gist of the content that was in the article simply from reading the commentary of various persons. It's absolutely fascinating. But I think what's more interesting is seeing posts from random people around the world and seeing how passionate they are about various subjects, from homosexuality and gay marriage to the latest political happenings, religion, even things as mundane as the next iPhone coming out. And to see so many people in this world express opinions that even I myself really can't wrap my head around how they believe things that they write, wholeheartedly. I often wonder exactly what life do they live? How were these people raised, or in what surroundings were these people raised for them to develop the perspectives that they do? There are people in the world that really wholeheartedly and honestly believe that wealth inequality is just a natural happening, that those at the top earn their way to the top, and they deserve to be there, and they deserve to withhold and hoard and harbor as much wealth as they possibly can while coveting the rest that is out there in the world. And there are times on my own individual entrepreneurial path where I can understand the mindset of the 1%. Most recently, I've been doing some freelance work for the Motley Fool, which is a stock and investment website, dealing with business news and stock analysis and so on and so forth. And it's interesting how I have to reprogram my own thinking in order to simply write these articles and to read commentary on other articles and other business news, and to see people that you know have nowhere near the wealth that the 1% have, and yet they think that simply taking on the mindset alone and generally following what they think the persons of the 1% do in their daily lives It's an amazing thing how these people think in this world. Absolutely amazing. So, we're going to move on to some other news. I just want to apologize for that pause. I had to take care of some personal things. Just came up randomly, and such is life. So, we have a Canadian breathalyzer. And now, RT is reporting that the headline itself actually reads, Canadians invent weed breathalyzer to catch drivers. And if you do some research into the story, you'll find that a Kyle Mauhi, a former Royal Canadian Mounted Police officer, partnered up with a Dr. Raj, I'm an American, I'm probably going to butcher this name, Atariwala, came together to create this cannabis breathalyzer. So, while the effects of weed and alcohol are indeed very different, its creators, Mauhi and Vancouver radiologist, Dr. Raj, they try to see beyond that. They're trying to see beyond that. There's a quote in RT that says, the biggest wrecks that come through a hospital are those whose driving was impaired at the time. So, this technology is taking the breathalyzer that we usually see used for detecting alcohol on the breath of drivers and transmuting it to pick up marijuana on the breath. Now, many people know that THC stays in various systems throughout the body for extended periods of time. And even the science to seemingly support this invention, I guess you would call it, even the science of it is proven to be troublesome. It's proven to be that it's not as easy to be able to tell exactly how much marijuana and THC is in the system. So, I would just like to say officially, on behalf of all smokers in the world, I would just like to say, fuck you, Canada. And judging by the names and the photos of these guys, I would probably say fuck you to India as well, because they look like they are of Indian descent and just migrated to Canada. You know, Canada's been troublesome. First they sent us Justin Bieber, and then not only did they send him to America, they sent him here to Atlanta to be raised by Usher. And we see how well he did. And then we get Rob Ford, and we're not too mad at Rob Ford, because when he comes across the border here, he somehow immediately finds his way back home. But now you're sending us Indian doctors and former police officers. Not just America, to the world. You're sending them to create something that would, in theory, it seems like a good invention. You know, it's intended to impair drivers off the streets, keep us from driving whilst high, cutting back on our Taco Bell and Checkers and McDonald's trips whilst under the influence. I understand you want to keep the road safe. But there are a lot of people in the world that drive a whole lot worse, totally and completely sober. Just FYI. According to the Huffington Post, the Alchemist breathalyzer could potentially detect if the driver had used marijuana within the previous 2 hours. It still has to go through field testing, and a patent is pending. So, yay, they'll be able to make some money off this hopefully one day. And, you know, those lobbyists all against the use of the marijuana, they're going to be out there saying, promoting this to local police departments. You did a great job. Thanks for that, and fuck you as well. So in other news, Iraqi forces hold off ISIS rebels north of Baghdad as Obama waits. This is on The Guardian. So, you know, back in the day, when the whole region, you know, we had Mesopotamia and Persia. You know, these guys, they were at war then too. Like the land of war or something. You know, in those days, the old days, you know, it was a typical, you know, normal things people go to war over. Fertile land, riverbanks, Egypt being God, and now it's just all about God. Apparently, we have the opposing forces of the Shiites, and the Sunnis, which populate in the Muslim community, as it pertains specifically to the Middle East. Apparently, or allegedly in history, there's one side that believes that Muhammad did not leave an heir to Islam. And then there's the other sect believes that he did not leave an heir, and it's up to the Nation of Islam to decide who the true leader is. And they've been fighting forever. Pardon me for not being up on which side was which. That's my bad. Your fault. So, in any case, America is somewhat divided because you get a lot of people that are glad that Obama is being hesitant on going back to war. You know, Americans, we want to support our troops and see them be here at home. And then you have those that understand that you should never pass up a good opportunity for war. You can't. It's against the rules. So, in this article in The Guardian, it was the end that most struck me. Apparently a spokesman for Iran's Shia-led government somewhat spoke on behalf of Iraq, stating that the government and the armed forces and the volunteers have stopped any advance of the ISIS terrorists. The Iraqi Air Force is carrying out continuous sorties and attacks on convoys and strategic areas of the terrorists. However, Iraq needs all the support it can get. Iraq has asked the U.S. for airstrikes to be conducted, and Iraq would like support in counterterrorism, intelligence activities, and advice and training. As if we haven't, been giving them that since the beginning of this century. So it's interesting that, we're being shown a scenario on the world stage where a country in crisis, again, is crying out for the help of the U.S. They need our help. Or really, do they? And then we have us here in the U.S. who really don't want to go to another war because there will be more troops overseas that we really don't know if they'll make it home, and we are tired of seeing our men, women, and dogs, canines. We're tired of seeing them be harmed and killed in war that are seemingly mindless. For that area of the world, they will be endless. And is it really America's responsibility to be involved? I'm not quite sure. But what I really wanted to get to tonight is consciousness evolution. That is the real work that I tend to as a spiritual alchemist. Transmuting my mind, transmuting my life. And one very significant part of my experience is that of prophetic dreams. And in the esoteric and occult circles, we term this gift prescience. And many of us believe that it is a gift. Foresight is a gift. Clairvoyance is a gift. But is it really? Do you know what it's like to have a dream so vivid and so seemingly real that you feel like you're there, and then you will wake up and you go about your day and it seems okay, and then the next day comes and you are physically in real life living that dream that you just had the day before? Do you know what it's like to have a series of dreams over months and months and months on end, and then that series of dreams physically manifests even months later over the span of just one weekend? So to simplify that, you have a dream sequence with reinforcement of the story and the plot over 6 months. And then maybe 2 months after that initial 6 months of dreaming, in just one weekend, everything you've dreamt over 6 months manifests in one weekend. Do you know what it's like to not know what reality you are living in? Because whatever you see when you're asleep eventually becomes what you see when you're awake. We like to believe it's a profound gift, but sometimes it's a curse. Or so it seems, or so it feels like. However, the beauty of foresight and prescience and prophetic dreams, the beauty is that with foresight, you can master your life in ways that people can't possibly begin to fathom. We hear the legends of the Oracle of Delphi in ancient Greece. How the people will go to the Oracle, consult the Oracle, get foresight and intuitive insight to what is going to take place in their lives. We have our psychics today who practice divination, and by looking into tarot cards and crystal balls and so on and so forth, and psychic readings and all that good stuff and parlor tricks. But to have the real deal gift, and a lot of people say, oh yeah, that happened to me here, that happened to me there, da, 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 da. No, I mean, this happens all the time. This is my existence. This is why I'm so weird. And it's because I get my realities mixed up. However, in learning to understand and interpret your own dreams, while it's tricky, it's so useful and so vital and so pertinent to our existence. Because if you can understand what dream is foresight and remain consciously aware of what takes place in your life and who comes into your life and how things are to manifest, you can prevent something very bad from taking place. You can keep yourself from making the wrong decision. You can also ensure that you make the right one. There are some dreams that show positive outcomes when you make the right decision, and then there are dreams that will show you what is to come if you make the wrong decision. And there are some dreams that show you what's to come, and no matter what you do to try to influence it, you end up manifesting that which you had foreseen. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful gift. But it's troublesome because you can also have dreams that are outside of what you are doing and what's taking place with you and your personal life. You can have dreams and prophetic insight about someone else and someone else's life. And then you get all the great prophets of old who are known, your biblical characters. All your prophets, even Nostradamus, who see and foresee, who can write out what is to come and hopefully warn us and other people. Of what will come of life if we make certain choices, if we do or do not do certain things. And as you develop your psychic gifts, just as I developed my clairvoyance and my own foresight, you begin to master the gift. You begin to master how it works, specifically unique to your existence. And then as you master the workings of the psyche, of the psychic being, of God, of consciousness, then you master and manipulate your life. But it's not the way that we have seen dramatically presented in the movies and films. It's actually a lot more practical. And when you really get into the experience, you kind of figure out that all these things that we learn to do consciously, we already do subconsciously. So it takes the whole mystifying of life mastery. It takes it away. It's no longer as special to see that, well, if I am focused on a goal and I stick to my focus on that particular goal, then it will happen. Then they will have no choice but to happen because they am focused on nothing but their goal. It's just like When you're a child, you want to become a doctor, and you just focus all your energy on becoming a doctor, and then by the time you graduate high school, you learn that you have to go through college, you have to take these classes, and you have to get, your master's, and then your doctorate, but all that comes after you get your bachelor's, and you can get that maybe with or without an associate's, it depends. But when you attune to what you really want, the way, the how of it manifests. And it seems pretty basic, and it's not as special. But then you have, when you dive deeper into your existence, you get into things like prophetic dreams, what your dreams tell you. Not just the subconscious symbols of what happened of the day, but real genuine foresight of what is to happen on a weekend, on a mystical weekend at your lodge. If you're part of one of our beloved secret societies, you foresee it and you can prepare for it. I know some who are developing their clairaudience and they can hear the thoughts of others. That's a beautiful gift, too, because then you can be more conscious of what's really going on inside another person, so you know how to act accordingly in your life. The development of the psychic being, the psychic senses. It can work beautiful wonders for our lives. However, with great knowledge and power comes responsibility. And there are times when I have my prophetic dreams and they're a call for me to take some sort of action, to call a certain person, to heal someone, to help someone. And sometimes it's just, hey, you're going to have a good time. I've had some of those dreams too. Consciousness and ascension. Consciousness, evolution, and ascension. If you want to have it remain in its mystical meaning, then it's all about opening your psychic being, developing your psychic senses, your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, your clairsentience, and all these things, so that you can be more aware of what happened and what is to come and what is going on within someone else, so that we're not so destructive to one another, so we're not so rude and disgusting to one another. So we can truly be consciously aware of what can manifest in our lives and how we can create all that we wish to manifest. So that's it for this first show. Continue to study your psychic beings, study who you are. And you can visit my website, www.thearchitectstudio.com. Check out the affirmative actions, the affirmation meditations. Be one with those. Transmute yourself, transmute your life. And I will see you next week here, once and again, Tuesday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you all for listening to this first show. It's been a pleasure being with you all. I am Felicia S.C. Gooden, Spiritual Alchemist. I'll see you guys next week.